Evening. My name is Snowden Taylor. I am a fish and wildlife conservation technician student in my second year, and I will be graduating this year. And this is just my presentation of how you can do tracks and signs IDing from home. This was prepared for Robert Routledge for Fish and Wildlife Survey Techniques. So for this first two images, this would be the scat of the American mink or Neovision vision. It was taken just outside of Indian Land Bridge in Garden River on March 16th, 2024, with the habitat, which is open water marsh and riverine. And what you want to look for ID features is that it has a long, thin, twisted shape here. And what's not very visible in this picture, you can kind of make out right here, is little pieces and bits of fish scales and pieces of crayfish that have not been digested fully. And also that's very long and spindly, and you can see on the edge here, here, and here that there's lots of hairs stuck in it. That would be it for the mink. For the next one, this would be the bobcat or Lynx rufus, and this was taken just outside of the Chippewa Falls area, right off the highway, on March 14th, 2024 by me. And right here, as you can see from the coloration, Lynx rufus or the bobcat, they have a very high calcium diet, which means they eat lots of bones usually from the animals that they eat, giving it a white powdery look. And this is also a day old, which kind of adds to it. Well, not a day, a few days old. And what you want to look for is the shape where it is broken and segmented right here, 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 and the length of about 4 to 6 inches around that mark. And this was also on a rocky outcrop, which is where Lynx rufus, the bobcat, just likes to hang out. For the next ID species, it would be the North American beaver or Castor canadensis. And the ID features I'm using are the freshly down tree and the partially bit into tree here that he started on and decided to work on upwards. This was found at Whitefish Island on February 4th, 2024, which is by the open water marsh, which is also riverine. And in the background here, which isn't super visible, there is also a active beaver dam and the fallen tree, which is something that only the North American beaver will do, since no other animal in North America really cut down trees besides humans. And the muskrats do not chop down trees. They will chop down little robust emergents, such as cattails, since they are too small to actually cut down trees. For the next identification features, it would be this pile of scat right here and this freshly browsed twig, which was found in Gooley River on January 26th, 2024, in a mixed hardwood stand in an open area, which was mostly coniferous, but some deciduous trees. And from what you can see on the edge of this browse twig, it is a very clean cut, and these little pebbles, which are actually scat, is the snowshoe hare or Lupus americanus, which is very clean cut since they have very sharp teeth. For my next ID feature you can look out for, this is the old browse twig, probably about a year or so old, which was done by the white-tailed deer or Odocoleus virginianus. And you can see at the edge here, it is very roughly torn off at the twig where the bud would be, which you can differentiate from the hair by the how rough it is and the height, since hair aren't that tall. This was found in Gooley River on February 16th, 2024, same area as the hair, which was an open area, which was a mixed hardwood sand, also, but it was mostly deciduous. And a next ID feature here is footprints slash tracks, which is also white-tailed deer, Odocoleus virginianus, which was found in an open hardwood stand, which was mostly, a mixed hardwood stand, which was mostly coniferous, and it was an open area. This was found on September 21st, 2023, during second year field camp, which is situated around the Big Basswood Lake area. And what you can see here are the very pointed toes that are spread out, which is prominent on the white-tailed deer, which unlike this one over here, which is the moose or Elsis elsis, which has rounded toes and is much heavier, as you can see from the indentation difference, since white-tailed deer do get heavy, but not quite as heavy as the moose. Which, another fun fact about the moose is that it is the North America's only remaining true megafauna. For the next tracks, I chose the American black bear, which is two images here. One on the right being the scat, which is filled with cherry pits, choke cherry pits, because they like to eat choke cherries, but they do not chew them as a human would, and they just swallow them whole. And on the left there is a scratching tree by the American black bear, Ursus americanus, which is quite high because the individual standing next to it is one of our classmates, Dylan, who is 6'8". So just imagine how high that bear had to reach to scratch up there. And this was taken on September 22nd, 2023, also at the second year field camp location around Big Basswood Lake area. For the next species I chose the moose, Elsis elsis, which was also taken by the Big Basswood Lake area for second year field camp. And it is a track or a footprint of the moose. And you can just see the weight difference that it has from the white-tailed deer, being much heavier and leaving a far greater indent, being about a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch down into the sand. This was on the trail, which was in the same open area mixed hardwood stand as the white-tailed deer. And you can just see that it's very rounded toes, almost like a coffee bean shape, about 5 to 6 inches. This one being somewhat smaller, but it's usually about the size of your hand at least, or the size of your student ID card, which is a very good scale representative. For the last images I chose, it was of the canine or the Canidae family, which was likely a dog. And you can tell it is part of the canine family because it has non-retractable claws, leaving claw prints on each end of the toe, as shown on the left there. And it also makes a nice X shape. And usually, depending on how fast the animal is walking, there will be kickback of dirt just from the claws, which isn't really shown too much in this image since it was just walking, as this was just on the trail and it was likely walking with its owner. You can also, the size of it is a dead giveaway that is not a wolf, since it is around maybe 3 to 4 inches maximum in width and length. Any larger than that and you'd maybe be looking at a wolf, but you'd have to look at the claw size and the gait length. These are just some images from the second year field camp, mostly just being of the lake, some of them having the dock in it, which you're allowed to jump off of, and one of our classmates, Jacob, chilling in his hammock after a long day of bushwhacking. And that right there would be the field that Rob brought us to for listening to elks. And on the right would just be Riley, my classmate, doing our shoreline cruise assignment. This is the elk that I was able to spot, but it was pitch black. For the credits, it'll be myself, Noan Taylor, Riley Stead for images, some of them. And here is Rob from his Instagram page, which is linked below.